Hello friends, welcome back. I'm Gibbet. I'm here to show you this latest custom order journal. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that this is a Tolkien inspired journal. So if you are not a Lord of the Rings fan, you may find this really boring. However, if you love mushrooms, welcome to my world. If you are not bothered about preamble, you can skip ahead probably about 8 minutes, I think, because there's a little bit of rambling coming up. So a long time ago, I thought to myself I might fancy making a Lord of the Rings journal for myself, because it seemed like a cool idea, and that it might later translate into trying it out for the shop. In which case I knew that I would have to research the copyrights, of course. So a few ideas had already begun to form, and I was kind of waiting for the right time. So when this order came in, I was so excited to get started. My mind jumped to circular doors and Hobbit Burrow floor plans and receipts for silver spoons and Tolkien maps and such. And then later on, when I'd calmed down, I thought about the client's request again and realised that actually that's not what she's asking me for at all. What she actually said was, please include nature, sky, clouds and my love of the peaceful living of hobbits and elves in Tolkien's books. And also her favourite pastimes are reading, walking among the trees along the river, butterflies, birdsong, wildflowers and open fields, which is all lovely. So as you probably realised for yourself, I was not listening. So ladies, when you are talking to us artistic types, make sure that we are listening. You may have to rein us in a little bit. I know that for me, I can be in a world of my own sometimes, in which madness lies. So you have to drag me back. So if anyone is in my queue and listening to this, then that's my advice. Anyway, this lady was very kind, and she just let me get on with it. But I do need to add a word about copyright. I was very surprised to see how strict the copyrights are, but actually strict is not the right word. I mean extensive, and that is where I think it becomes a shame and a pity, because I'm sure there are thousands of people who'd like to pay a respectful tribute to these wonderful books, but as it is, you cannot use character names or place names. You cannot say Hobbit, you cannot say Middle Earth. So it's pretty limiting. I know that a lot of us are interested in Tolkien works, but before you decide to request a custom order, I cannot produce a Hobbit journal or a Lord of the Rings journal. And if we're talking about Tolkien inspired, then I'm still pretty limited. It won't have hobbits in it, it won't have any quotes or passages from the book, I wouldn't be using any character names, place names, and of course any Tolkien inspired artwork, it's going to be modern enough to still be copyrighted. In fact, these copyrights with the Tolkien works, the rules seem to apply even to non-commercial use, so that I can't even make myself a journal and use the word Hobbit, which seems ridiculous. But there it is. Similarly, with the Winnie the Pooh journal, I've had a lot of requests, but I can't do it. You know, it's still copyrighted, and when you're talking about a character in that sense, you know, it's really difficult to work around it even. I've used some of the things that I think about when I think of Mr. Tolkien's works and the characters that lived a simple farming life. They have a love of things that grow. He describes them beautifully when he says that their hearts truly lie in peace and quiet, and also in good tilled earth. So that's what I've tried to bear in mind. Reading the books, you get the sense that this is where Mr. Tolkien's own heart lay too, so I always think it's a lovely feeling. So, is that everything I wanted to say about copyright? I think so. For myself, I'm not an expert, but I am a fan. I've read The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings only once, so I hope that I have done a good job of this interpretation. I love the movies, though I have some issues with the movies, as most of us do. But let's not go there. This is my take on her request. My interpretation of a Tolkien-inspired journal, which is actually really about birdsong and nature and things like that. Well, it's actually about mushrooms, as it turns out. So if you're familiar with the stories, you will know why. So I started the cover with drawing a Tolkien-inspired map, and I'm not sure if I've got my lights set up properly. So I'll just give you a closer look. So I've got some music with the birdie there for the bird song. I've fussy cut some mushrooms from a wildlife book and added that snail on top. I've used some words made up, some are kind of interpretations. There's a couple of rivers down here which are local to me, and some just made up place names. This is the old name for Cumbria, which is the county where I live. And the greenwood up there. And down here I've put the settlement of Dalton and some little trousers? Where's my head? Houses. Definitely houses, not trousers. Because Dalton is where I live and this is where your book began. So I thought that was a nice place to begin its journey on the map there. I've made a hand-carved stamp here in honour of this journal, and I've done it so that there's 3 separate pieces, so I've used this quite often in the book in different ways. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Oh, I can't zoom out. Okay, I'll show you like this. Some eco-dyed leaf printed fabric, some calico cotton. I've done some machine stitching all around these mushrooms, and then it carries on with some mushrooms down here and around the spine and round onto the back. And if you're familiar with the stories, I think you'll like this little extract from a vintage book that I found, and it has quite a big section on mushrooms, and this is really interesting because it's about trespassers and whether you're allowed to pick uncultivated mushrooms on somebody else's land, so I thought that was really cute and very apt. So here is the hand-carved stamp in different colours again, and I've called this a shortcut, and I don't think I can get sued for using that. But if I disappear for a few months, guys, come and visit me, please. I'll be in the back plaiting raffia with your other inmates. And bring paper. If you come, you must bring paper, because I'll be going mad. And pie. Always bring pie. So, here we are inside. For the colours, I'll come back to this. I'm just going to kind of skim through so that this video is not taking forever. For the colours, she gave no colour preference. So I was thinking about it, wondering why I always associate hobbits with yellow. Sorry, I should say Shire folk, excuse me. And often I don't remember if have I dreamt something, or has my knowledge come from fact, or I've made it up. So I went back to the book, and they are described as usually in green or yellow. So I've gone with green and yellow. And brown. I'm sure that was a mistake to omit brown, because otherwise they would look like garden gnomes, wouldn't they? So I've added green and yellow and brown. And my Instagram, I use it for business and for personal use. So on there you will find a photograph very early on of my son, and he was going to a steampunk gathering, and we made together a little yellow waistcoat that came out really nice, with this thick mustard yellow corduroy. And every time I look at it, I think of hobbits. So you can go and leave comments about how lovely he looks on there, and be as embarrassing as you like. I promise I won't delete them. So this fabric, I bought this cotton organdy, it's called, and it's really, really lovely. I love it. When it comes, it's very stiff. It was a bit too stiff for what I wanted, so I washed it, and now it's perfect. It's quite transparent, and I've printed this stamp on it. It's tea dyed this, it was bright white. So those little spotty marks are from the dye, and then I've used the hand carved stamp on there. I really love how it turns out. The edges fray really beautifully, and it's very easy to work with. So I'll definitely be using that more often. Wax paper there. So this is my other hand carved stamp. So I've used the I've done so much fussy cutting with this journal, guys. It's taken me about 3 times as long because of all the little fussy cuts. A little bunny down there. Oh, I'll just skip back to this first page. So I've got, this is from the TheOldDesignShop, and what I've done is used, separated these images and used them in many, many different ways in this book. So these are printed on tracing paper, and just back them onto some card. That's a hand carved stamp. The library card I've chosen Under the Greenwood Tree. A few people have asked me about this. I've done it myself on the computer, and I've done it in a way so that it's on a word processing program. So it's very easy for me just to go in and change the title of the book and the author. You just type over, rather than making it into a picture document. So if you're interested in doing that, I think that would probably be the easiest way to do it, and then you can swap the titles, and that goes in there, and that will be the note from the bookmaker. So I'm trying not to lose my page so that I can not keep you too long, as usual. So that's the personal info card. There is a teeny tag with hand embroidered flowers. More fussy cutting. I've done some of these butterflies so that they're like that. There's that one and that one the same. And up on the top of the page, I've trimmed it so that some of the wings are coming off the pages. So some lovely vintage farming images, mushrooms, so many mushrooms. I've used the thrush a couple of times because she features in the book. She's very important in the book. And lots of butterflies. I've used some, instead of tabs on this book, I've used some little fussy cuts, and I've done these with fussy cut from paper, flipped the image so that there's two of them, and put them back to back and sewn around them with a sandwich of felt inside, so that you get these tabs that are quite sturdy, and they stick out without flopping, and also some felt leaves on the sides, and you'll see when I shut the book that there's mushrooms sticking out the tops, so I think that looks super cute, and felt leaves and butterflies on the side as well. Where am I? Did we get this far? Yeah, done that page. There's a pocket there with some silk ribbon, some little farm animals by the riverside. There's some hand embroidery on more eco-dyed paper, fabric. More mushrooms, more mushrooms. Little tag from the handcraft stamp, and this I've done, I thought a little hedgerow recipe would be nice, so I've done elderflower cordial, and I've used a kind of a Shire folk typeface, and I'm going to link down below the not artist, what do you call them? Designer. And this is a little order for 5 barrels for a party. That's just stuck to there, because they're fond of their food and drink, as we know.